Good morning and welcome to my podcast. I'm Bob Pace. I'm here to fight CPS. You found me on Facebook, Fighting CPS with Bob Pace, and I'm broadcasting on YouTube using the StreamYard application. I want to welcome you all. Anybody that has internet is able to see this broadcast. We have all 50 states and so far 14 countries that have commented or viewed or joined me in this room. Now, to interact with this podcast is the first step is to get in the room, which you've done. And while you're there, make sure you take notes and listen because I have a lot of information about the child protection system. That's what I call CPS, the Child Protection System. It's a branch of social service that supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse, also supposed to help out families in need of food, clothing, housing, education for the children, and medical, and jobs. It also is supposed to do family unification if they need to find the necessary because the children are in imminent danger to pull the children out of the family. They need to work really hard to do what's called family reunification. That's where they put the kids back with the parents after parents go through parenting classes and program or wherever the problem that may lie it gets repaired. Because the best parents are the biological parents. The studies have shown the biological parents are the best. Now, a second way to participate in this podcast is that you may want to say something, and you can type in a comment or a question about CPS. It's very important that we talk about CPS. That's what we're here for, and a lot of you need that help. So please show me your name. First name is fine. Your city or county and your state. Also, we have countries, as I said, from around the world. So just show me your city and country, and um, try to be complete with your CPS case. Try to tell what your families make of, your children, ages, their sexes, and what you were charged, neglect, and so forth, and then what you had also had with your case. Like, where is it at? How was the kids taken? Were you given up or whatever it is? And where you at on your case? Like at the dependency court hearing, or you at the end? You've been doing it for 2 years, or where the case would be. But what you need to do is you need to um, save a little bit of time so we don't have to go back and forth. So we don't have to go back and forth. Now, I lost my mouse pointer here. Where is it? There it is. Some of the countries that have listened in have been Bangladesh, New Delhi, India, a country in the Middle East that was sent to me in Arabic, and I don't know how to speak Arabic. The continent of Africa, I've had Liberia in the north on the coast, on the west coast, and then I've had um, Rwanda, which is a small little country near Lake Victoria, then Mozambique, and Mozambique is above uh, South Africa and across from Madagascar, the island of Madagascar. And then I've had the western province of South Africa. Then going up to Europe, I've had England, Scotland, Wales, part of the United Kingdom, and then Denmark and Sweden. Then we go across the pond, and I have North America, Canada, all the provinces there, and then the states, the United States, 50 some states, including Washington, D.C. Then down in Mexico, I've had contact from Mexico City. And then down in South America, I've had Guyana, which is on the east coast of South America, above Brazil, east of Venezuela. Then across the Pacific to land down under, I've had Australia, the Gold Coast, Melbourne, and in um, the Victoria State. So it's been really interesting because I like to help anybody that has a CPS question or concern because you all need help because it's an agency that's gone rogue. It's really bad. Now, this Saturday, there is a special um, um, Zoom meeting that everybody's invited, especially if you're a member. It's no charge. It's Vincent W. Davis is hosting this, um, this meeting, and he has strategies to help you with your case. Vincent W. Davis is the attorney that produced this podcast. He has his own podcast. He's an attorney, and I'll talk to you in a few minutes. Now, we go down to the third way of interacting with podcasts. We have, you can be a guest, and I can have up to uh, 9 guests, including me makes 10. So I can have up to 10 people on the podcast. And so it's, uh, it's, I'm excited to have you as a guest because you can talk freely, see the comments, and talk about your case. To do so, all you need to do is contact my show producer. Her name is Grace. She works really hard behind the scenes. I want to thank her for what she does, and she will help you get on the podcast. Um, the way to contact her is through her email. It's grace@vincentwdavis.com. That's grace@vincentwdavis.com. Now, my show time's on. I'm on at uh, 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour. Then again at night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour. That's 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday. Now, there's exceptions. On Sunday, every Sunday, I have church, and so I come on earlier at 8 o'clock instead of my normal time at 10. So I'm on a little bit hours earlier. That helps out maybe the people on the East Coast because it's not so late in the day. But um, that's my time on Sunday. And then this Friday, tomorrow is Friday Night Lights. It's a high school football game that I will be at. And I'll be starting my show at 4 o'clock tomorrow instead of at 7 o'clock. Hello, Faye. Welcome. I'm so glad that you've joined us. I'm just going over the ways you can interact with the podcast. I just finished up with how to be a guest. Now, Faye is from Richmond, Kentucky. She's a single woman. She's been through foster care herself as a child and a teenager. It was a terrible experience. And she is a single mother. She has 2 children. Unfortunately, the corrupt the CPS system in Kentucky made her choose between her daughter and her son. Her son's special needs. So she lost her daughter to foster care because she was a cute child and they wanted to take her daughter. There's no other reason. Why is she a good parent for her son and not a good parent for her daughter? But she's been fighting that case for 13 years, and just recently she heard from the new ombudsman and the new cabinets or something that maybe she could get some answers. So anyway, I'm glad to have you here, Faye, and I'm hoping things are better with you in your neck of the woods. Now, finishing off with um, be the guest. Uh, Grace will contact you with a link to StreamYard, and you just go on it. And if you happen to fall off it, hang on to that link because you get back on again. And she'll also tell you what you can do and not do as a guest on the podcast. Things like no eating or smoking during the podcast. We don't use names of children, judges, or social workers. And so she'll also talk to you about lighting and sound. Want to make sure your lighting's good and your sound. So she's a real good help, and she'll help you. And I really hope you are my guest. Finally, the last way to interact with my podcast is to call in, and I have an office phone number. It's 626 and it will ring, and it's my direct line, and I will answer the phone during my showtime hours. I cannot answer the phone before my showtime or after my showtime hours. So just call in 626 698 0990. I'll put you on speakerphone, and you'll be able to hear um, what is asked and so forth. I am working outside. I'm broadcasting from Southern California, Surf City, USA, about a mile from the beach. I have a cool breeze. It's really cold in that ocean. It blows it up and keeps us cool here, a little overcast and so forth. So you will hear some sounds uh, during my morning podcast because it is outdoors. And my podcast at nighttime is at my home, so it's different kinds of sounds. You have your home sounds and you have your outdoor sounds. So hopefully you can hear me okay. And everybody here likes to have noisy cars, I guess. Anyway, I've told you 4 ways to interact with this podcast, and um, I have 3 of you, and I'd like to know what you'd like to do on this podcast. I have many ways I can go. I, can talk about my case. I can talk about CPS, what kind of an organization they are, what kind of workers they are. I can talk about topics like the ICWA Act of 1978, the Indian Child Welfare Act. And I have lots of, as I say, lots of tabs open up, and so I can talk about that. I also have Core Digest that you can, um, I can ask questions, there's answers, and it can be discussed. So that's kind of the interesting concept there. And of course, anything else you have. I don't know if Faye had anything that came up in her mind, but she's given me some wonderful stuff to talk about. Um, Her state seems to be the most corrupt state with CPS we've found so far. Everybody that's called from Kentucky has been really negative about CPS. And that's the sad part about CPS. You haven't figured out what kind of organization they are. They will traffic your children. The purpose is to make money. They want that money. It's $1 trillion business. The money comes to the federal government, goes to the state, then goes to the counties. But the money is not accounted for. CPS is not transparent. In fact, there's an investigation going in Richmond where millions of dollars has gone unaccounted for. They found one guy that embezzled 400,000, and they're investigating him. But it's sad to say that it's all about money. I know from firsthand experience because when my children were in custody, they were getting $20,000 a month per child, and I had 3 of them in their custody. Now I'm a family man. I am not an attorney, and I'm very knowledgeable. I've been doing this for about 15 years, and I've talked to over 500 some people around the country and around the world. And so I have some insights. I've produced some rules about what to do and not to do. And one of the things that I was talking about was the attorney. And as I mentioned, he has a special Zoom meeting tomorrow on Saturday from 10 to 11, and you should join it. Um, this attorney, Vincent Davis, has been practicing uh, dependency law and fighting CPS for 35 years. And he has won cases against the child protection system. And so he has that experience. He's also a trial attorney, and he knows all about juvenile family dependency law. That's the area that you want to be in. Um, Juvenile family dependency law. Those 3 buzzwords are what you want to be in. That's what it's all about. It isn't criminal law. It isn't real estate law. It isn't workman's comp law or all the other legal areas. Now, his law firm does have um, other attorneys that can handle other legal matters for you. Their office is 888-888-6582. You see it on the lower part of my screen. And that is the office. And make sure when you call in, you tell them that Bob Pace sent you, and you can ask for an attorney for any of your needs, any of your legal needs that you may have. Like, say, you have a problem with immigration, they have immigration attorneys, or your real estate and foreclosure, or rent eviction, or those kinds of things. Workman's place, like workman's comp injuries, or those kinds of things. Anything that you can think of, Mr. David has it all. But if you want dependency uh, law and you want to get your children back, Mr. Davis is the person to go to. Now, I have a special arrangement with him that I've done a um, a discounted Zoom consultation with Mr. Vincent W. Davis. It's for 30 minutes and it's only $60. But you have to go to a special website to get that special rate that I've worked up with them. It's https://candidly.com/apptsbwd/Bob Pace. And when you go there, um, you can book a 30-minute Zoom consultation. and pay with your credit card. It's 30 minutes for $60. You're not going to find a better deal. And so go to that website, https :// candidly.com /apptsvwd / Bob Pace. So that's actually my rule number one because you'll need an attorney. Why? Because the child protection system is corrupt. It's a rogue agency that's turned really bad, and you need someone that can really go through. And let me see, we have a phone call coming in. Yeah, um, here, I missed a phone call. I'll get the phone call right now. Sorry. Oh boy. We have a shortage of plugs here, so I'm sharing all my outlets here this morning. Okay, we got Faye who called in. Good morning, Faye. What can I do for you?
I was trying to call the number, but it wouldn't let me call the other one.
Oh, you couldn't get through on my office number or my personal number?
The office number,
Huh.
and it's doing the thing with the not letting you comment again.
Are you in through my Facebook page?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, seem to have some problems here, and I know that Grace is working really hard. She wrote a really lengthy email to me, took a lot of time to explain everything, and apparently, StreamYard and Facebook and YouTube all have problems, and she's trying to straighten it out. And we did have 3 people come in today. And I think you're one of them, but I've had no comments in there. But if you go to my page and enter through the Facebook, you
I
should.
did do that, and it's not letting me comment.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, all I know is that Grace is working on it, and she'll try to do her best there. What would you like?
I think that's why you're not getting comments from anybody else either.
No, I know that. I haven't really. I've gotten some yesterday. It's been sporadic, and ever since we've had this problem for about 2 weeks now, my people have really slacked off. But that's okay. We can still talk about things and still help out the people that do come in and so forth. So, um, is there anything particular you'd like to talk about today?
No, I was just trying to let you know it wasn't working.
I'm sorry, what?
No, I was just trying to let you know that your number for the office wasn't working and it wasn't letting anybody comment.
Huh, that's weird. I just checked my connection and it's set to take calls. I have no idea why it did what it did. It's
Well, when did you turn it on?
this morning when I first set up here. Let me redo it again. I mean, I'm doing it. It says the current network. It's connected. It's connected. So it should work. Anyway, it could be a little glitch. You know, the internet is funny. You know, that terrible hurricane we had, everybody lost internet, which is really surprising because you would think that form of communication, since you all depend on it, would not go down. And I don't understand with the satellites and the technology we have that the military can do all this is why we can't with our own people because people have been cut off badly. It's this horror stories are terrible about hurricane, and my prayers go out to all those unfortunate people. Um, there's a lot of horrific stories, and I hope our administration does something about it because I think they should take time out from the politics and concentrate all our resources. If we can transport military weapons around the world and fight in other countries, why can't we take care of our own country? It's like it's hard. It is hard, and I don't want to get too much into politics. Um, how's the police harassment with your place?
I don't know. I haven't really been out much today. It's just, stuff that they're doing here that they're not supposed to be doing. They know they're not supposed to be flying drones over people's houses after that is not related, directly to surveillance operations.
Yeah.
And after a certain time of night, they're not supposed to be doing it. But yet they do it. They do it anywhere from 2 to 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Flying these drones when everybody's in the bed asleep, nobody knows they're doing it. And what's horrifying about that is the type of drones they're using have the ability to see through walls in your house. So you don't know what they're taking pictures of.
Oh boy. Well, for all your listeners out there, Faye has been definitely hassled by the police. When she was in foster care as a child, they kept a record of her. So when she grew up as an
Well,
adult,
police in DCF, not just the police.
well, I meant to say the CPS system. I know it's a different acronym, but when I say CPS, I mean all the acronyms out there. So CPS had a record on Faye, and so when she became an adult, they already knew about her, and she had a beautiful child that she was forced to give up, and that hurts me in my heart all the time to hear about that story, about how she's a good parent with her son, but couldn't be a good parent for her daughter. How can anyone be a good parent with one child and not be a good parent with the other child? That makes no sense, especially the other child was young. I think she was only a couple years old, and that's a very valuable time that the mother needs to be with the daughter. And it's hard. I've lost two of my daughters. Actually, I've lost three of my daughters because um, one has not seen me since age 3, and then the other one was taken away from me by CPS, and then the third daughter um, has been estranged, meaning that she believes what all these rumors are that the lay people, my in-laws, have portrayed against me and my wife. That's the sad part about the allegations in CPS. They're made by either lay people or professionals, and the professionals are people that have taken classes in child abuse and child neglect, and because of their job, they're required by law to report suspected negligence or abuse, and they're pretty good about determining that and reporting it. But it's the lay people that half of them use it for alternative motives, meaning that they want to get somebody. Example,
Well,
go ahead.
well, actually, it's these ones that are trained supposedly to find abuse are the worst ones for causing CPS to take children away from parents.
Yeah,
You take your child to the emergency room because it fell off its bike and bumped its head, and then you get accused of shaking baby syndrome
yeah, yeah,
by a professional pediatrician inside of a hospital that thinks he knows more about your child than you do, and if you disagree with him, they call CPS on you.
yeah. That's just trouble about retaliation. CPS does retaliate. As I've told my listeners numerous times, my daughter was a victim of retaliation where the social worker lied on the witness stand, committed perjury, and then she told me and my wife, "You're not going to see your daughter again," and told our daughter what to do to emancipate from your parents, divorce your mom and dad, divorce your brothers, divorce your grandparents, divorce your aunt and uncles and cousins, and then change your full name, not just one part of the name, but she changed 3 parts of her name. And then she sealed her birth certificate so that she could get another birth certificate when she got adopted by her foster care. So they show that they are the birth parents, which had nothing to do with the birthing of our daughter. She was 12 years old when she was taken from us. She's 22 now, and she's living with my older daughter right now at the moment and seems to be okay. It's just that right now I don't have any encouragement to have it reunited with me. My sons see her, but I know what it is to lose a daughter, and I've lost 3 of them. I lost one when she was 25 because of what was going on with CPS, and then I've lost another one that's in her 30s um, at age 3, And then I have lost my second daughter at age 12. And that was all because retaliation. The CPS does retaliate. They have no fears about doing that. And I just wish that when allegations are made, they're made in writing and signed by the person making the allegation, and then kept in confidence. And if it proves that they are a lie or mistaken, then they should be prosecuted, because that is a false thing to use the child protection system to alienate a child or to get a child stolen. I mean, that is wrong. That is wrong. Another thing too we need to look at is how foster care is structured. Right now, to adopt a child, normally it takes a couple years and it's a lengthy vetting process. But right now, CPS will take parents, train them as foster care parents, and very little training they'll get, and suddenly they'll be within a couple months handling the children that CPS traffics to them. They want those kind of parents, and they're no good. Faye will tell you that. They molested Faye. I don't need to go into details, but Faye has been through so much physical trauma and so much mental trauma. It's wrong. I mean, she's a great woman. Here she is, dedicating herself to try to make CPS safe. She helps other families too. We both do. We do want to help other people. What do you think of foster care, Faye?
Well, I didn't have a good experience with foster care, but that doesn't mean that other kids don't. There are some good foster parents and there are some horrible foster parents. Just like there's some good social workers and bad ones. There's good and bad in every profession. But what I will say is that I've not met, but maybe in my lifetime, a handful of children that have had a positive experience coming out of that system, meaning that they came out with no abuse, no trauma from it, and were able to excel from that system. Very few do. Most children that come out of the foster care system come out of the foster care system with serious mental issues. They come out with, the inability to trust people. They come out of the foster care system with nothing, no license, no permit to be able to drive, nothing, no high school education. They end up homeless or sometimes even in prison.
So well said. So well said. Because even a simple matter as getting guardianship of her son has been a miserable experience for Faye. She has a special needs son that she's trying to get custodian guardianship of him so she can take care of him, because he can't really be out on his own, and he needs a full time. And Faye's a loving mother; she loves her son, but he needs special help. And every step of the way, she's been trying to get guardianship of her son has been interrupted by not only the social workers but also the police. They've done horrible things to both Faye and her son. The police have done, and it's sad that the police is that corrupt. I'm one of those gullible people that thought the government was great and that everything's good, but the CPS is worse than the IRS, and the police that work with CPS have just gone bad themselves. And it's sad. It's all about money. It's all about money. And if someone, we had a person that was looking into it named Nancy Schaefer, a senator from Georgia, really a hardworking woman who was murdered, and she was close to making a lot of changes in the CPS. She wanted to have CPS um, stopped, and then go ahead and have a new CPS formatted. I mean, so So it's like, you know, it's hard. Faye and I have tried to do things and talk about how to fight CPS, and I'm so glad that we have tried some things. I wish we could do more. I wish we could do more. Now, are those people still driving by your house?
I haven't really been out there today, but it's just been like the last few days. Ever since they took that drone over top of our house, it's just been weird stuff happening. And then, it's not the first time that we've caught that drone. We've caught it several other times too. And they made up the stupidest reason. And I had been sitting out on the porch the whole time. They was like, oh well, when we caught them in the act of flying the drone on top of our house, then they came up and they made a BS reason as to why they were doing it. They said, well, we got a call that there were shots fired over here behind your house. And I'm like, really? I said, because I would think that if there was shots fired behind my house, it would be heard. We would hear that.
Right.
Plus I've been outside the whole time. I didn't hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, not at all. And he was like, well, when you get a call, we have to investigate it. I'm like, oh, so it requires a drone investigation instead of, you getting out on foot and knocking on doors and asking questions. Oh, okay, sure. So, when I brought up some of the rules that they were breaking by doing it, then they wanted to get, I guess an attitude with me about that. And I was like, well, I'm like, can you please get your drone and get away from my property with it? Thank you. Have a nice night.
Wow. It's hard to be a parent and a family, and a lot of us aren't fortunate to have all the money in the world that we could pay professional people to help take care of our issues. Our country is built up of hardworking individuals, and yes, there are rich, there are poor, but we're slowly losing the middle class. The middle class we're actually, people don't realize it, we're becoming a third world country. Definition of a third world country is there's no middle class. It's either the poor or the rich. And people thought, oh, South America is a third world country or other places. But, third world countries like India is a third world country. There's the poor and the rich. So the United States, is slowly but surely losing its middle class. And we're paying more in taxes, more in food, more in everything. Everything that you touch out there has gone up. Um, I just can't believe labor to do an oil change used to be free if you bought the oil and the filter from them. But now they charge $50 for labor to pull out a little plug to drain the oil and then put in 5 quarts of oil and a new filter on. And it's really, 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 really hard. And um, it's made CPS suddenly hinder on the low income people, the people that maybe are struggling. It seems like the majority of the people I talk to can't afford an attorney. And I told about, hiring an attorney, and you need to get one. Well, you can't afford it. So you're stuck with that court appointed attorney. And that court appointed attorney is I mean, he is just barely a lawyer. He's a criminal lawyer. He's not a dependency lawyer. He has no experience in juveniles or families. And he won't fight for your case because he wants out of there. They don't pay him enough money. So you're stuck with that kind of representation. Or you can be like some of the few that have actually gone out and spent tens of thousands of dollars for retainers for crooked attorneys. There's that group out there too. So you got to be really careful when you look for an attorney. It's very, very important. And I think a key thing is See if the attorney's ever done a lawsuit against CPS. If they've done a lawsuit against CPS and won millions of dollars, that right there is a good attorney, because most attorneys will not sue CPS. Most attorneys do not like CPS cases. And so it is a hard dilemma for low income people that are struggling to pay the rent. They're struggling there. Make sure that you talk to the social workers and CPS for help for your food needs, your clothing needs, your housing needs, a job needs. They're supposed to provide all that. That's part of the responsibility of the social system. Right now, if you're from south of the border and you come in the United States, you're given amnesty and you're given a job, and your kids are enrolled in public schools, and then you are given food stamps to feed your family, and you're given housing, and you're given clothing, and then you're given medical. So if you have a baby, the baby's born in the United States, he becomes a U.S. citizen just by birth. So, you know, we need to look at a lot of things, and I think it has a lot to do with our politics and a lot to do with our government. We're going ready to go bankrupt. We're talking about going bankrupt with paying all our bills, and this happens every couple months. It shouldn't be that way. Also, FEMA, it says it's run out of money for all these hurricanes they've had. They don't have the money. We are really hurting for this disaster, and this is a big time disaster, and it's going to hurt people for years. Some people, the towns will never be. Some people said that they'll never come back. I mean, their whole home was washed down the river with all their contents. They have nothing but the shirt on their back if they're lucky. 11 workers at a plastic factory were told not to leave, and four of them are dead because of that. And they're standing in line at the unemployment line right now because they're out of a job. Um, I with all that advanced warning, all the technology we had, all the maps and all the communication, why is it so badly hit like that? It's almost like the government agencies didn't care. They could have done it ahead of time, evacuated people in masses with helicopters. We have so many helicopters, we could take lots of evacuations, and we could put your personal belongings in containers, evacuate the containers to storage sites. Those containers are easy to lift up by a helicopter. They can put cars in the containers. You could have done all that before the storm comes, but it's like none of that was happening. There's no way. No one's thinking ahead, and the same thing holds true for CPS. CPS, no one is thinking ahead. They're only thinking about the money, the bonus they're going to get. You know, how they're going to get rich off taking your child, and how much more money they're going to get from the federal government. I think if the government's worried about money, they should check all their wasted money right now. I know that there's religious cults in Utah. They're giving millions of dollars a year to explore new fuel alternatives. There's a documentary show where one company has not produced a drop of gas, and they're given millions of dollars every year from the federal government. We are wasteful spending our money. We shouldn't be paying $1,000 for a toilet seat. The bills are coming in to the military for a toilet seat, $1,000. A toilet seat does not cost $1,000. There's so much corruption with money. People are so eager to get the money, and the rich get richer, and the poor get poorer, and the middle class starts to die out. And with that comes the CPS workers, because the CPS workers need to supplement their income because it costs a lot of money for food too. So if they get a bonus, they're going to be, doing their whole goal. I mean, all I have to do is talk about the pink ladies in Prescott, Arizona, that paraded around with pink T-shirts that said that on the front, professional child kidnappers, and on the back they said, "Do you know where your children are at?" I mean, pink is a color for breast cancer, breast awareness, and they were using it to do an insult to the parents because they walked around Costco, Kmart, Target, Best Buys. It really turned off parents. Yes, they were caught, they were fired, but it wiped out the whole department in Prescott in the year 2022. They only had one social worker left to take care of all the kids. So I'm telling you, that you got to be, you know, it's a hard thing to fix. It's a hard thing to fix, and we hopefully will get the right candidate, the one that has the most experience to lead our country, to stop, these wars, to stop all this stuff. We need to concentrate on the USA to make USA great again. We need to make it so that, that we can afford, it's stupid to have to pay $6, $7 a gallon for gas. When we have gas, we could do a gas pipeline from Canada to the USA. We had one in place, but when the new administration came aboard, it was gone. We had borders being built. They were closing up the borders and we were regulating our people. All that was gone. Then many years later, they said, oh, we need to do that. So they tried to pass a law and it got dropped. But, it's all you have to do is look where we were 4 years ago. I was employed 4 years ago. I had a temporary job then, but I was employed. So anyway, I'm starting to digress here. We got about 41 minutes. If anybody wants to, well, my phone number went down. I wonder why my phone number went down. I had it up. I'll put my number back up again. I don't know why it went off the air, but I have my phone number on, and it should work. 626-698-0990. Please call me if you have a question or you want to make a comment about CPS. I love to hear from you. Also, if you go to my Facebook page and enter it, you should be able to do a comment here. You should be able to do a comment here. And I want to speak again about the couple other things. You want to join our school? Vincent Davis has a school. All you have to do is go to the website, https:// www.skool.com /think like and attorney 6927 /about. And you can join his school and get a lot of seminars like this one coming up on Saturday where he'll have a workshop and you can go to it and so forth like that. So uh, I really like to encourage you all to try to learn all you can about CPS. I have a rule number 4, and it's a research rule. You got to spend 60 hours doing this one, but you want to go find everything is about your case in CPS. But you have to word it correctly. You have to put in your city, and if you live in a small town, you may have to put in next bigger city. Like, for instance, Athens, Georgia. Athens is a small city, so you may want to put Atlanta. So you put Athens and Atlanta, Georgia. Then use the letters CPS, and then put whatever thing you want to know about CPS. How does it start? Can you get your children back? How do you get your children back? What is dependency court? And you want to do that so it's centralized to your case and learn and spend 60 hours. You'll learn so much. I wish I'd done it. I wish I'd done it. And that's my rule number 4. Um, another important rule is that rule number 3 that I tell people: don't answer the door. Don't let people in your home, because we've had too many people killed opening the door. And I don't want to talk about the details, but it makes me sick thinking about it. At first you have someone knock on the door. If it's important, they'll leave a message for you, like a card or something like that, or they'll call you later or send you an email. Now, if persistent, they come back the next day, you may have to answer the door because they may have a warrant out. So, um, you know, uh, it's really, really kind of a hard thing. And if you encounter social workers walking around your neighborhood, don't talk to them. If they ask to speak to you, just say, I need to get my attorney here as a representation because for all legal matters, I'm entitled to it by my constitutional rights. So that's one way to get out talking to social workers. And they say, well, we need to see your home. And you tell them, you need to make an appointment with me and my attorney. Please go back to your office and call and make an appointment. You're not going to see my home unannounced. just like I wouldn't come to your home unannounced. And so you can try that method. I'm not saying that's going to work there. And I'm not saying the police or the social workers not try to muscle your way in. If they try to muscle your way in, there's nothing you can do but set aside. That's the problem is they're corrupt. But sometimes if you're pleasant to them and nice to them and try to stall and get some time to get that attorney, I don't know how important it is to get that attorney. It'll save your life because CPS is like open heart surgery. You need someone that knows how to um, uh, handle your case, um, how to know how to navigate in your case, and it's really, 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 really hard. So I'm telling you that uh, don't talk to social workers, and if you do, be nice about it, and then mention you want to talk to your attorney or have your attorney present through all the proceedings. That's where it's really, really good. So um, I cannot emphasize how important it is on your initial steps in counting CPS because they're investigating a complaint. The problem is with these complaints made by laymen or professional, they ain't going to believe them like they're the truth. So you're guilty no matter what. You should not be declared guilty. You should be innocent until you're proven guilty. But they don't believe in that. And so right away, they're going to try to trump up charges and make up stories to get your children. Their goal is the money part. They're evil. So you got to be careful about that. There's only three ways they can enter your home. One is you get permission from you or one of the people living in the home. Two, there's domestic violence going on, shouting, screaming, arguing. People are using weapons, knives, and guns. They're going to enter the home, especially if it involves a child. The child is being slammed against the wall or strangled or whatever. The social worker and the police will enter the home. The third way is a warrant. And that warrant is a very important piece of paper that you got to look at it carefully to make sure it's legit because they do fake warrants. They'll have PDF files that they change things over. They'll try to show you on their laptop computer a picture of the warrant. You need to see a wet signature and a wet piece of paper. And that signature's got to be embossed by the clerk. See, they have to go to court to ask for a warrant. And a warrant means permission to enter your home or to talk to you or to take your children. And so, um, they need to go to court for that, and the judge has got to sign it. Then the clerk in the courtroom will emboss it with a hand stamp, meaning that it raises the signature so it can't be forged. Also, the warrant's got to be on the days of the weeks of the work weeks, not holidays, not weekends. If it's a date for a weekend or a holiday, it's a bogus warrant. Also, make sure the warrant says your name and all the other people involved with the complaint. Also, the children's names are got to be listed on there, and the allegations you're being accused of. Also, the address of the place where they need to go to, and the date and time they can go to that place. That's got to be all on there, and with that wet signature. So that's what a warrant is. So ask to see it. Um, you know, um, so it's important that you don't talk to the social workers, don't let them in your home, and don't let them do inspections. They're going to investigate. That means they're fishing. If they want to do a welfare check, they're fishing. A lot of people call in and say, I haven't heard from somebody in a couple of days. Can you go do a welfare check? And so yeah, that's another ploy that the police use. You got to keep abreast of these ploys that CPS and the police use. It's really good. Then there's medical trafficking. Medical trafficking is so bad lately. It seems like anytime a child is sick or injured really bad and you have to go to emergency room or you have to go to urgent care, there's somebody like a social worker listening or nearby that wants to take things the wrong way and say, suppose you put the bruise on the person's arms or do that. Don't talk to them. They're social workers working for CPS. They'll steal your kids. They have to have a warrant too. They have to have a warrant too. Now, they do muscle with police. I've seen the videos of them in the hospital room because if you're pregnant, they'll try to take your child when it's freshly born. You still got the umbilical tube on the child and they try to grab the child. They'll bring the police in and try to do. They are so ignore of your civil and constitutional rights. They will violate anything to get that child because they need that money. They're so greed by the money. And what you can do is tell the doctor manager or the doctors that they need to wait outside or come back with a warrant. You don't, when you're in a hospital room having a child, you and your doctor and your nurses or any family members should be designated, should be the only ones in the room, not police or social workers. But they will find their way in there and they will take your children. So be careful of medical trafficking. And that's my rule number 3, Don't let them in the house. Don't talk to them. Don't let them have your children. And watch the medical trafficking. And since I'm talking my rules, I got 2 more. The other one is rule number 2, which is my notebook. And that's the way to keep track of your notes. It's very important with all the correspondence you have. I was scatterbrained when I had it. My stuff was over every which way. I did have copies of all my court reports. I always went to the clerk, and because I was low income at the time, I filled out a form and I was able to get copies made of every document that the court had. It's so important because the child protection system, the social workers will not show you all the documents. You need to see all the documents. And the way you're going to see that is ask the court clerk that you want to see all the documents because they scan them into the system so they're on the computer. So it's very important because there may be an important document you didn't know about. And you need to have that. And in your notebook, you need to stuff it full of notebook papers, college rule notebook paper, and then have dividers, 20 or more, and space them out so you can separate, your court papers from your parenting classes, from your program classes that you take, your drug tests, and all the other things you may have there that you need to separate. One of the most important thing in that notebook is your incident page. It's your timeline of events related to your CPS. It could be incidents with the children, incidents with the social workers, with the CPS social worker, incidents with the police, incidents with other parents, incidents with the school. And what you do is you record each incident separately, the oldest one first, and you put the date, the time, the location, and who's involved. Then the second uh, line, you put down what the incident was about, and the third is the outcome. If you don't have the outcome, leave it blank, come back later and fill it out when you get the outcome. And then skip a couple lines to the next incident, so forth. You have 50, 60, 100 incidents, but it'll be helpful because you won't remember them in 6 months or a year or 2 when you have to go over your case and look for things. Use highlighters and highlight them. That notebook is 8.5 by 11. It should be 3 inches thick in a 3-ring binder. And have a way to punch holes in your paper, put it in there. And index things so you can find things readily. Organize it. Be organized. That paperwork will save your life. I wish I'd done it. I wish I'd done it. So that's my rule number 2. And my last rule is I'm going to let Faye talk about, she made it up. Faye, can you talk about the folder with all your important documents for your children and your family? Oh no, did I lose Faye? Oh boy. Yep, I think I did lose Faye. Let me see here. Let me see here. I'm calling on my Vonage application to see if it works. Can you hear me, Faye?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm calling you on Vonage. It works. I gotten through to you. I'm at rule number 5, which is about the important paperwork. Could you explain about rule number 5 for the paperwork for the children and the parents?
Well, during CPS cases, it's imperative to, have all your documentation on yourself and your children as far as your medical records from your doctor's offices, mental health records, because when they open a case, they go to those doctor's offices and they put a freeze on those records so that only they can access them and you cannot. So then they go through the medical records and they make up, well, whatever they like and put it on paper. And if you can't access those medical records, you can't dispute what they say. So if you've got copies of all of that, then you have the ability to dispute what they say. But if you don't, then you're kind of stuck because they can say whatever they want. They can say that the doctor told you to feed your baby a certain way and you didn't do it. And if you don't have those medical records to see what that doctor actually said or to dispute that, then it's put on record as being factual. So you need to always have your medical records, your children's medical records, including mental health records, at home in a file. You also need to make sure that you have your children's school records at home on file because they will access those as well. And I would suggest if you have a child in a hospital to have that birth certificate as soon as you possibly can, because you don't want, if CPS gets involved with your children, for them to get their birth certificate, because if they do, it's just going to be a blank certificate so that later on they can fill it in with the adoptive foster parent's name and you are no longer on those. So you will not have a record of birth of your children ever being born to you. And then on top of that, you need to, let's see, what was it, Bob? We said mental health, we said medical. You need to keep, copies of your Social Security card and even your certificate of marriage. And do not hand any of these over to them.
Yeah. Go ahead. I lost you for a second. Really? Wow. Yeah, there's something seems to be wrong with Vonage. I've had to call you again here. I don't know. It could be one of those bad days with the internet. I don't know. Vonage is an internet application, but thank you for explaining rule number 5. That was really good. And at this time, it's close to the end of my podcast. I want to thank all the people that have come and found this room. And I thank you for anything that you expressed. If you're having difficulties, keep trying again. Go to my website, Facebook, and you can enter my podcast that way. Make sure that you check below that you want to subscribe to my podcast and also check the notification. You want to find out when I'm going to be on again. And so I want you all to keep trying to fight for your children. Don't give up. And I want you all to know that I'm praying for all of you. I care about you, and I'll be back again tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you all for listening, and God bless you all. Thank you, Faye, for helping me out with this podcast, and thank you, Grace, behind the scenes. This is Bob Pace and Faye signing off. I'm going to step my side because there's an ad. I got to.
Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis. Are you overwhelmed by a CPS case? I'm offering you a new opportunity to change your situation. Join me for a live question and answer seminar where I'll help you navigate the CPS process and help bring your child home. I'll reveal the biggest secrets to winning your CPS case, This is the same strategy I've used for over 35 years to help reunite families. I'll show you the simple steps that work even if you feel like you're out of options. Here's the best part. When you sign up, you'll get exclusive access to my private strategy session where I dive deep into your specific case. This offer is only available to those who attend the live seminar. Don't miss this chance to fight CPS and win. Click the link below to reserve your spot today.